The sun cast golden rays upon the grand temple of Jerusalem, its ivory pillars gleaming as if touched by divine hands. Within its sacred halls sat King Solomon, the son of the legendary David, the ruler whose wisdom had become the envy of the world. Foreign dignitaries, traders, and scholars traveled vast distances just to witness his unmatched intellect. But beneath the splendor of his reign, beyond the riches and glory, a shadow loomed, a tragedy that even his wisdom could not prevent. For though Solomon was gifted with the wisdom of God himself, he was still a man. And like all men, he was vulnerable to the temptations of power, wealth, and desire. This is the story of how the greatest king of Israel, blessed with everything a man could dream of, lost himself in the very gifts he was given. Solomon ascended the throne after the death of his father, King David. Though young, he recognized his own shortcomings. When the Lord appeared to him in a dream and offered him anything he desired, Solomon did not ask for wealth, power, or a long life. Instead, he asked for wisdom to govern his people justly. Pleased by his humility, God granted him wisdom unlike any man before or after him. But God also rewarded him with wealth, honor, and peace. Under Solomon's rule, Israel flourished. His wisdom was legendary. He settled disputes with divine insight, wrote thousands of proverbs, and composed the Song of Songs. His crowning achievement was the construction of the magnificent Temple of the Lord in Jerusalem. It took 7 years to build, its walls lined with gold, its foundations strong as the covenant between God and Israel. The Ark of the Covenant rested within its sacred chamber, a symbol of the Lord's eternal presence among his people. Solomon's fame spread across nations, and even the great Queen of Sheba traveled to test his wisdom. She brought gold, spices, and riddles, but left in awe of his unmatched intellect and the splendor of his court. For years, Solomon's kingdom was at peace, his wisdom bringing prosperity. But wisdom alone could not guard his heart from what was to come. As Solomon's wealth and power grew, so did his desires. He took hundreds of wives and concubines, many of them foreign princesses from Egypt, Moab, Ammon, Sidon, and other lands. Though warned by God not to intermarry with foreign women, as they would turn his heart toward other gods, Solomon ignored the command. At first, he remained devoted to the Lord, but love is a powerful force, even for a king. As the years passed, Solomon built temples for the gods of his wives, Ashtoreth of the Sidonians, Molech of the Ammonites, and Chemosh of Moab. He began to offer sacrifices to them, allowing idolatry to spread across Israel. The very wisdom that had once set him apart now seemed to fail him. His heart, once dedicated to the Lord, was divided. The Lord, angered by Solomon's disobedience, sent a message through the prophet Ahijah. "Because you have turned away from me and worshipped other gods, I will tear your kingdom from you. But for the sake of your father David, I will not do it in your lifetime. Instead, your son will suffer the consequences, and the kingdom will be divided." Solomon, once the wisest king, spent his final years in sorrow. He realized too late that all his achievements, his wealth, his palaces, his knowledge, were meaningless without devotion to God. He wrote the Book of Ecclesiastes, reflecting on his mistakes, calling everything he had pursued vanity. Though he ruled for 40 years, his death was met with uncertainty. True to God's word, his son Rehoboam inherited a divided kingdom. 10 of the 12 tribes rebelled, forming the northern kingdom of Israel, while only Judah and Benjamin remained under David's lineage. Solomon, the king who had everything, died knowing that he had lost what mattered most. His legacy, once golden, was tarnished by his own undoing. Conclusion: the price of power. King Solomon's story is one of both triumph and tragedy. He was given wisdom beyond measure, yet in the end, wisdom alone was not enough to save him from himself. His tale serves as a reminder that no man, no matter how wise, is above the dangers of pride, temptation, and the slow fading of devotion. For even the greatest of kings can fall if their heart strays from the one who raised them up.